Hello and hello and welcome to another episode of East Meets West, a show about all things Hellenic League. I'm your host, Rob Davies, and I'm joined as always by Tom Canning from Football in Berkshire and Severn Sports' Ryan Butler. We are being broadcast live on the Facebook pages of Severn Sports and Football in Berkshire. You probably already know that if you're watching us now. But if you're not watching us now and you like listening back to our ramblings, you can catch up on the podcast. Search East Meets West on all good podcast appliances.
Or like a washing machine.
Exactly. Yeah. So today we'll be talking about the FA Cup results and the FA Cup draw, all the midweek fixtures, and going over a few questions for Ryan, considering he's hit his 1,000th follower on Twitter.
Unbelievable that the show's going to be all about me.
Scenes. Scenes.
But first, Tom, what percentage chance would you say there is that we might have to cut the show early and you dash off very quickly?
I think we're good. Yeah, yeah. We've had a word. It's fine.
The baby's going to be like Tom, very professional.
Yeah,
as soon as the show's finished and we stop being live,
it'll arrive at kickoff. We'll be fine. Don't worry.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's no hour early with any child of Tom's, no. So, gents, how have our weeks been? What games have we seen? Where have we been? Ryan, why don't you kick us off with that?
Well, on the Tuesday night, I went to. Well, initially I was going to go to Tuffley Long Levens, and I spent the whole of last week talking about how good that game that was going to be, only to find out that Long Levens manager Craig Martin and one of his players had to have COVID tests, and the chances were that their result wasn't going to be back in time. So the game was called off. Luckily the results came back negative. Everything's okay. The precautions are there, and I think it just sort of shows that that's what it's going to be like now. So it was quite interesting to speak to him and see how they went, about like the whole process. So we ended up going to Cinderford versus William Bassett in the FA Cup. Saw Bassett come from behind from 2 goals down to end up winning on penalties. Quite gutted really, because we a couple of times this season on our iPad that we used to commentate on, it just hasn't recorded the game for whatever reason. The software that we have to record just records 5 minutes and it just cuts out.
Oh.
And it's done it twice now, so it's a bit annoying. The first time was down to memory. It was a good game, very good game, and Bassett were quite worthy in the end of going through, and they celebrated like crazy as you'd expect them to. On Thursday, I did an FA Youth Cup game, Tuffley Rovers under-18s versus Bath City under-18s, and I'll be completely honest. Yeah, Tuffley Rovers under-18s are Kelsey's adopted under-18 side. They're probably our favourite under-18 side to go and watch, really. And I kind of expect them to have a difficult time against Bath. Played them off the park, 90 minutes, smashed them, 1-4-1, and Bath were probably lucky to get 1. And then on Saturday, versus Hungerford Town. The first men's game to be played at Meadow Park, the new Meadow Park anyway, so it was nice. It was nice when we're walking up to the stand and James Harding and Stoll Andrew Smith of Hungerford, they remember me and Kelsey, and obviously follow us on Twitter, and we interact with them and stuff like that, and wish them well when they moved to Hungerford. Yeah, they were delighted to see us, said hello, asked how we were getting on, and that was quite nice, from a personal perspective, and the game was good. Again, another comeback. Lost a 3-0 up with about 5 minutes to go, and 3 goals in 5 minutes for Hungerford, and they draw 3-3, and it was pretty barnstorming finish, to be fair.
Very good. You get about the ground as always. Tom, I know you've been to a couple of games this week, but
no, I've only been to one since we were last. I went to Woodley United v Charvey Sports on Tuesday night, and oh boy, did I pick the right game to go to! That was excellent. Woodley were very good in the first half. It was. I think I've written this quite a lot this week, but there have been a lot of games of two halves, and I wonder whether that's just to do with kind of the sort of the fitness level, not the fitness levels, but the sort of packing all these games in right now. I think you're not going to necessarily have the consistency, but Woodley were excellent in the first half. They were 2-1 up at half time, or was it 1-0 up at half time? I can't. Do you know what? It was an entire week ago, so I'm gonna give myself a break on that one. But no, I think it was 1-0 at half time, and then Charvey came back in the second half. And I must say it was 2-1 to Charvey in the second half, and they brought on a lad called Calvin Morgan, who I wasn't familiar with, and another young lad called Reese Harper. And they both absolutely transformed the game. Charvey went out and won 4-2. I think the goal of the night, though, was Toby Briggs for Woodley. The ball came across and he sort of at the far post kind of just volleyed it into the opposite far corner. So it was a really, really good game. It was full of good goals. The first goal Lamin C saved from a wide free kick that just looped over. I think the only bad goal was a penalty. So they were all top class, well worked goals. So it was a really enjoyable game. Charvey were fantastic in the second half. They've also got Ricardo Cannon, who used to play for Windsor in midfield as well. So they're no mugs. And actually, I think I was a bit worried about them after their first couple of results. But when you look at who they played, and perhaps they didn't do quite so badly. So they then won 4-0 on Friday night as well, albeit against a Division 2 team. So they've forget who they've got this week now. They've got a fairly winnable game, I think, this week coming as well. So fingers crossed for them. Really.
Aldermaston on Saturday. So.
That's it. Yes. They'll fancy that. Although obviously, I think Aldermaston could turn it around at any point. Aldermaston weren't bad against Woodley in the first half, but I think Charvey will fancy that one.
Yeah, they're at Pennant and Tyler Green tomorrow night, which is a tough one. But yeah, away at Aldermaston following Saturday. So yeah, a couple of interesting results there. But I suppose the highlights, like we've already mentioned on the Tuesday night, the FA Cup games. I think last week we predicted 3 of the 6 Hellenic teams would go through, but we did mention that all 6 games, I think the Hellenic sides had a chance of going through. Every team was playing a team from the step above them. But I think if we were pressed, we'd have probably picked the 3 Hellenic teams that didn't go through rather than the 3 that did. I think that was fair to say.
Yeah, I think
Ryan, you were at one of the games.
Yeah, Risborough was the only one I think we said could be a decent shout. But Bassett, for me, the game itself was quite poor in some respects, really. Both sides just cancelled each other out, and there was a lack of quality from both in the final third. Cinderford was 2-0 up and had a glorious opportunity to go 3-0 up that was saved by Harrison Ellis in goal for Bassett. And from there, you kind of just knew what was going to happen. TJ Bohane pops up from a corner and does what he's done in this division for years now. And he was probably Bassett's star player for me, as you'd expect him to be. Then the equaliser came in like the 93rd minute to take it obviously straight to penalties. And as soon as it goes to penalties, sort of made me think about the penalty shootout, actually, because Tom said in his game, obviously, the only bad goal was a penalty. We saw, in the end, I think it was 13 penalties or 12 penalties, something like that, in the shootout. And I would say out of the 12, only 3 of them were probably savable, and one of them ultimately was. Honestly, some of the penalties I saw on Tuesday night, outrageous. Player plays for Cinderford. He used to play for Long Levens and on a loan from Forest Green, and he's played for a couple of our clubs, Lewis Spurrier. He's stepped up and done the Jorginho, Bruno Fernandes hop. And to do that in an FA Cup shootout, I think he had to score at the time as well to keep Cinderford in it. And to do that, and he's put it right in the corner. There was one that was, you literally put the keeper on that side in that corner, and you're still not saving it as well. And that was the most impressive thing. after running about for 90 minutes, and it was quite a chilly night. And Tom obviously alluded to earlier, a lot of these teams are playing so many games in such a short space of time. For them to then walk up in a pressure situation and turn it into a no pressure situation and produce penalties like that was absolutely phenomenal. But Bassett were worthy winners in the end.
Yeah, I was at the Whiteleaf versus Binfield game, which is one that we kind of thought maybe Binfield might have a chance, having knocked out Step 4 opposition before that. Sorry,
you guys were very busy that night, weren't you? Was that the night we had like 4 or 5 games?
Yeah,
right.
We had.
I think it was 4 games. We had Tony at the Bracknell game. They were playing Ashford United in Kent. So Tony lives in Kent now, so that was kind of convenient for him. I was at the that was also an FA Cup game. I was also at the Whiteleaf Binfield FA Cup game. Tom, as we mentioned, was at Woodley Chalvey, and then I think Neil was at Hollyport. Is that correct?
Yeah, Neil was at Hollyport v
Wokingham. Yeah.
Wokingham
had a big result there, winning 4-0 against. Well, both sides looked good for promotion last season before the season was ultimately cancelled. I know Hollyport have lost. Well, their top goal scorer from the last 2 seasons has gone to Marlow over the summer, but they've brought in some good players, and they've got Sam Locke there, who has a good black book of talent. So I think they might be bringing some more in. But yeah, a big win for Wokingham there. But yes, I was at the Binfield Whiteleaf game. So fortunately, Binfield got knocked out 2-0. But they really looked like they were playing some very nice football. They're missing a couple of strikers at the moment. Asa Povey's got an injury, and they really lacked his pace up front. And obviously Josh Helmore's been out for a couple of weeks now. So started. Basically, they were struggling to keep things up in the forwards. Sean Moore had a chance for 1-1 shortly after half time. Could have taken it. Might have been a bit different game then, but. Whiteleaf were very well drilled. They were very direct. I don't want to say like long ball because it was all with a purpose. But they were a very strong side, very physical, athletic, and knew what they were trying to do. So they're a very good outfit for Step 4. And I don't think there's any shame in Binfield being knocked out to that side. And they also gave a very good account of themselves.
Because Whiteleaf has Burnham now, then, in the next round.
That's correct, yeah. Burnham are at home to Whiteleaf in the next round. Risborough, as we mentioned, they're going down to, is it Chichester on the coast?
Yeah.
Who are also Step 4. They're in the same division as Whiteleaf, the Isthmian Southwest. And Wootton Bassett, of course, host Oxford City. Or sorry, is it host? I haven't got the result in front of me there, but the Royal Wootton Bassett are playing Oxford City, who are Step 2 side. So that's a pretty big grandstand fixture for them. So, credit to all of them, and well, especially Risborough, I have to say, because they're one of 2 Step 6 sides left in the competition. So fantastic work from them. Any other midweek results from last week you guys want to talk about before we push on to the weekend and the game Ryan's itching to talk about?
Trying to think what else happened at the weekend.
How can we string this out a bit longer then?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of what other games there were on the night. I'm pretty sure Fairford won, but I can't remember who they played. No, Fairford didn't win. They played in the FA Cup, didn't they?
Yeah,
Fairford were beat by Sholing, and the reaction after the game from not just from Jodie Bevan at Fairford, but a couple of neutrals who went and watched and supported the Fairford. They sort of commented that refereeing let Fairford down again, and that's probably two games in a row. The FA Vars game against Lydney the Saturday before. I said last week that Fairford felt a bit aggrieved with some of the decisions, but yeah, from the sound of it, the referee had an absolute howler on the Tuesday night. So Fairford were one of the unlucky ones to drop out of the FA Cup, unfortunately. But they equalled their best ever run in the FA Cup, and the first time they've made that round since 2007, 2008. So got to give them credit for a big achievement there.
Yeah. So
should
to refresh your memory there, go on.
No, sorry.
Go on,
I was just going to say we should just mention Windsor 2, Reading City 3 as well. That one put Reading City top of the league. Oh, sorry. Carry on then.
No, that's all I was going to say. That result put Reading City top of the league. You've taken the words exactly out of my mouth. It was one of the few Berkshire games we didn't have a correspondent at, so we can't say specifically what was going on there. But it seemed to be quite a back and forth there. And I wrote today about how we mentioned last week when having seen Windsor a few times, we thought that Bill Montague might be relied upon quite a lot by Windsor. You know, if they were going to do well, they needed to sort of share the goals out a little bit. And while they lost on midweek, they won on Saturday against Burnham. They scored 4 goals over over those 2 games, and they had 4 different goal scorers. Montague got 1, but McNamara, Coles, and Horscroft also chipped in. So good signs for Windsor that maybe some of the others are relieving the burden on Montague. So it's pretty good for them. But if we're pushing on then, Ryan, I guess there's one game you'd like to talk about on Saturday, maybe more than some of the others. So I'll give you the honour.
Binfield clinging on to a point against Long Levens. Unbelievable. That's what happens. I was saying before we came on the air that, you know, I wasn't too surprised to see Long Levens get something from the game. I talked about it last week that, you know, Long Levens have the, you know, it's an insane ability that they've developed over the last 18 months that against the sides where they're really not expected to get anything, they get themselves up for the game and you know, they do play their best football against some of the better sides. It's really weird. You know, and to see that, you know, Binfield went 1-0 up, it was kind of looking like, is he going to go one way or the other here? So I was quite happy to see Brad Martin score, even though, you know, he is one of our sponsored players for the season. So my additional sponsorship with him is that it's £1 a goal, essentially. So he's now moved on to £5, and we've not even played a full month of the season. So, you know, he's going to cost me a bit of money this season. I can feel it. But yeah, to see him equalise was great. And yeah, from the sounds of it, it was a very good game. You know, obviously, as I said, there was a Ross City Hungerford, but speaking to the Long Levens boys after, they just said, look, as we do in all the big games, we just said, look, it's a free shot. No one expects Long Levens to do anything against Binfield. You know, Binfield had just beaten Westfield and ended their unbeaten run. You know, everyone would have been looking at saying away win. So Long Levens saw it as a nothing to lose situation. Got in the face of Binfield, and at times it seems like Binfield couldn't hack it. So I think, if anything as well, a game like that will benefit Binfield because, you know, when a side doesn't allow them to have it their own way, they've got to find a way. If they're going to win the league, they've got to find a way to turn the potential defeats into draws and the draws into wins and what have you. So I think it's a game that really, at the end of the season, both sides could look back on as a decent point.
I think you're right.
Either of you, this goes. Oh, sorry, I was just going to go. Yeah, I was just going to. Do either of you know what happened to Sean Moore? Because I mentioned earlier that Binfield has had a little bit of a striker crisis. Tom, you've alluded to before that you think they've got the best fleet of strikers in the league. Asa Povey and Josh Helmore being out, but Sean Moore was off the field after 10 minutes. So they've lost as well.
I'd not clocked it. I'd not clocked it until just now. I was just looking at it. I didn't realise he'd gone off. Because they also ended up with Adam Cornell in goal at one point because Chris Grace was sin-binned.
Yeah, keeper was sent off.
So you've suddenly. I know I sort of said they've got a good six centre forward or a good 6 attacking players. Suddenly you've got one of them in goal. One of them's gone off after 10 minutes. One of them was injured against Whiteleaf. One of them has been injured this season. You're suddenly down to the bare bones all of a sudden. I hadn't even clocked that at all. So shame on me, really.
Well, hopefully they're not too. It's only precautionary, and we can actually see. It's always good to see sides at full strength going into the season. You know, getting a clear picture of who is up there.
Yeah.
Any alluded to the Windsor Burnham result, and Windsor getting back on track. Uh, any comments, particularly on those games over the weekend, the ones involving the Berkshire clubs, Tom?
I thought the Windsor result, that was a result they needed. Needed to get some points on the board. I mean, I think I did put Burnham down as a sort of bit of a surprise package this season. I think they've done well so far, but that result is a good result for Windsor, and they've got Virginia Water this weekend. So that's going to be quite an interesting one. I think Virginia Water, as I've mentioned, are steady and solid, and so that'll be another. I think perhaps Windsor might have looked at that one and thought that should be relatively straightforward. I don't think it. I might be doing both sides a massive disservice there, but I don't think that will be. In terms of what else happened. Tuesday. Yeah, sorry, it's Tuesday night. Yes, it is, isn't it? I think in terms of kind of what else went on at the weekend, the only other stuff was sort of in Division 1 East really that I was really paying all that much attention to. Reading City drew 1-1 with Lydney Town in the Premier there, but they had Michael Butcher sent off. It was an intriguing tweet, that one. From Reading City, it said he was sent off for what the referee thought was a foul. I don't know. I haven't investigated any further on that one.
They scored in the last kick, didn't they?
They did, I think, yeah.
Last couple of seconds into the game, and Lydney equalised. To be fair, Lydney are a really hard side to be playing at the minute. I said it a couple of weeks ago that they tend to be very, very tough to play at the start of the season. They're proven to be that. They haven't won in the league yet, but they haven't lost every game. They've only lost 2, and they've started to just be a bit more difficult to break down.
Yeah.
If they can turn the defence into then good attacking and be consistent, they'll beat teams. But I'm looking at the results right here from Saturday, and you look at it, and Holmer Green winning 4-0 against Shrivenham, and Ardley beating Virginia Water 2-0. I mean, if you had the betting double on that would have been unbelievable odds. For both of them to win and keep clean sheets, mental. Incredible wins, really. Got to give credit to both sides there. I mean, I'm seeing Ardley tomorrow when they come up to play Tuffley Rovers, so it'll be the first time I get to see them this season. See what they're about. But we knew the Virginia Water had started well, had 2 wins and a defeat in their opening 3 games. So for Ardley to go and do a job at home against Virginia Water was a bit of a shock. But I had to double check when we were on the bus. Well, when we were coming home from Gloucester on Saturday, I turned to Kelsey. I was like, "You'll never guess what." I was like, Holmer Green have beaten someone 4-0, and it's Shrivenham as well. Like, what it makes me just wonder what is going on in Shrivenham, which is probably disrespect really to Holmer Green. But what the hell?
They weren't very well fancied, were they, Holmer Green? So it was quite a shocking result. But these things happen. So.
That's based on, obviously it's based on the end of last season, and none of us know much about those clubs that are outside of our area at this point. But I don't think it's an unfair assumption. And hey, if they prove us wrong, then maybe they stick all these quotes up in the dressing room and use it as motivation. But...
yeah. Holmer Green did also beat Easington in the midweek before that, so they're on 6 points now. Right,
they're clearly a midweek side. They're a midweek side. That's what it's all about. But let's put it this way, right? I'm looking at the table now from last year. Last season they played 26 times and won 2 games. Right. They've already won the same amount of games, and they've only played 3 games.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm getting from them. I'm getting a little bit more on board with your "that's mental" theory. Yeah,
it's just absolutely everything's mental. It's just everything's a little bit mental. You just need to calm down. But Holmer Green being, they could do nothing now for the rest of the season, and they've already won the same amount of league games. Do
you not think this is like the beauty of this sort of level of football? Because you go to the Premier League and it's like, oh well, they'll do that. The chances are the 6 teams that finished in the top 6 last season will be in the top 6 this season in some order somehow. Whereas actually, we're all sitting here trying to talk about the Hellenic League. We don't have the ability to go and watch all the games and all the teams all the time, and you've no idea. You really just don't know. All you can go on is a well, they did all right last season. I've no idea who the movements at Holmer Green have been over the summer. They might be exactly the same. It's a little bit like the end 2 seasons ago, the end of 2 seasons ago, when we had Long Levens and Reading City both struggling at the wrong end of the table.
Exactly the same.
I suspect both of those squads are largely the same now. 2 seasons on, I would say, so. Roughly, give or take. And both of those teams are doing significantly better. So you can. I think I genuinely, that is the beauty of this. And with all these games in a short space of time, with people working, with injuries, anyone will beat anyone. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if Flackwell Heath get beat tomorrow night. Not because I don't think they're any good, but I mean they're playing Binfield, but I mean they'll probably go and get the win now. But any team can beat anyone. There'll be no one that is on 0 losses at the end of the season. That is the beauty of it.
Well, I'm looking at, because obviously we mentioned Burnham earlier on. I'm looking at they've only played 2 league games at the moment, yet to get a win. With the games being such short space of time, Fairford, I would include in that as well. They have the hangover of the FA Cup, and it's probably a potentially distraction. So it'll be interesting to see how Bassett and Burnham do in the coming weeks, because obviously with that FA Cup tie next on Saturday, isn't it? Yeah, on Saturday. They're now still FA Cup action. Yeah. Then it's the Vars the week after, so they're still in the Vars, and they're going to have Vars games the following week. So suddenly then that's 2 to 3 weeks without playing a league game.
Yeah.
And in that time you could either get left behind or anything like that. Neither of Bassett or Burnham have got a win so far in the league. So suddenly you can then go 3 weeks without playing a league game. You can see that Burnham and Bassett, by that point that they're playing a league game again, could easily be bottom 2, because they just simply haven't played enough league games.
Yeah, you could either go that way, or that all the games be fit into midweek, and so they just don't have a rest for 4 or 5 weeks or whatever. And like you say, with the season the way it is at the moment, games are going to have to be played whenever they can. We've already had a couple of cancellations, as we mentioned before, due to sort of COVID precautions. So far as I'm aware, no team has actually had to isolate. Oh, we've had Aldermaston isolate. Is that correct?
Yeah, I don't know if that was a precaution or a. I don't know.
Yeah, but we've had Long Lavens and Easington call off games, as you mentioned.
Severn as well. I think they had to have a player who had to self-isolate.
Oh, okay.
And it meant that everyone else had to get tested, I believe.
Right.
They called their game off against
Brimscombe
off front.
Yeah.
Because I believe there was a relative of one of the Shrivenham players was self-isolating, and then they both. Well, then I think one of them started showing symptoms, so a test had to be done and all that. So, apart from that, there's no team have had to physically declare that they can't play games for 2 weeks because of the test that I know of at this level.
It could well happen at some point, but like you say, the games have got to be played at some point if we're going to. So far as we know, we're going to be finishing the season, and if that's the plan, you've got to fit the games in somewhere. So there's going to be a lot of teams with a loss of fixture congestion at some point during the year. So,
and we haven't even had the glory of the Floodlit Cup yet.
Are we going to? Is the question.
Yeah, it's scheduled in. I had a look at the fixtures for October, because filling my little spreadsheet in, as I always do. Division 1 clubs have got the Floodlit Cup in 3 weeks, I think.
Oh, right.
But obviously we had the first round this weekend of the Challenge Cup.
Yeah.
I don't know if there were many Berkshire teams in it. There was a couple of ours.
Yeah, there was 4 or 5, I think.
2.
Yeah, maybe.
We had Hartbury University, the first time Hartbury have ever played in the Hellenic League. They've registered for the Division 2 West for the season, which is obviously the reserve league. But basically, it just provides an outlet for their younger players who potentially may not have a club in men's football yet to actually play some men's football. And yeah, I think it's a great move for Hartbury.
How they started, do you know? How they?
Well, that's our first game. So the Div 2 West started this weekend.
Starts Saturday,
Obviously,
doesn't it?
where they were in started this Saturday just gone.
Okay.
Where Hartbury were drawn in the cup, they obviously had the cup game instead. So their first league fixture, I think, Saturday.
Well,
so wish them luck. Wish them very luck.
Yeah, like I say, we did have a number of teams in the from Berkshire in the cup as well. So just picking out the Berkshire results, we had Aldermaston winning 3-2 at Headington Amateurs. We had Langley going down 3-2 at Southam United. I'm not even quite sure where Southam is.
No.
Woodley. Sorry? Had you no idea? No. Well, Woodley beat Taplow, went to Taplow and won 5-1. And Chalvey won 4-0 against Stokenchurch on Friday night. So, a few mainly good results for the Berkshire sides at this early stage of the competition.
Still miffed, because it's like England in the World Cup 2002. My opinion is if Seaman doesn't get lobbed by Ronaldinho, we win that World Cup. We beat Brazil, we win that World Cup. And I'm in the same opinion that last season, if the season gets suspended, one of the Gloucester sides would have listed one of those cups. Just would have happened. I think, definitely one of our sides would have won those cups.
I'm not sure the World Cup, the Challenge Cup, got the Hellenic Challenge Cup get mentioned in the same breath very often. But
the Floodlit Cup, let's be real. The Floodlit Cup is the one everyone will want.
The Floodlit Cup is the best one. The Floodlit Cup is the best one.
The Banbury Lifo Floodlit Cup.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, if you say so.
It was the Perpetua Press before.
Oh yeah, I mean you've got a choice of printing places you can go printing, but no, I was more of an AM print and copy man, to be honest. Back there was also the Flying Press. That was one of them. I can't think of any of the others.
This is
So this is really boring.
Now we're talking about the sponsors of the Floodlit Cup on days goes past.
Floodlit Cup is the best cup.
Yeah, the corporate guys at Hellenic will be like, oh, they're bigging up the sponsors. Get them in.
This is how we get the likes. This is how we get them to share us.
Next week. When we sold out.
There we go. Well, I'm willing to take any sponsorship. It can be absolutely anything. Talk about erectile dysfunction, anything you want on the show. I'm happy to. Take the cash. Let it be known.
What a weird turn this show is now taken because you've got erectile dysfunction. Unbelievable.
God, the ads that are going to show up next to this.
In the intro, Ryan, you passed 1,000 likes on. 1,000 followers on Twitter in the week, and you did a little impromptu Q&A off the back of it.
I was absolutely delighted with the Q&A because people got involved. That's all I ever wanted.
What were the best questions that you got asked over the course of the Q&A?
Someone asked me to name my my current Hellenic Premier 11 of Gloucestershire players. So I did that. Matt, who does Severn Sport with me, asked me what my favourite biscuit is. That's important question. I thought I didn't have to answer all football-based questions.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my Twitter up now. So there was a few. There was a few incredible ones. What my favourite ground was that I'd been to. So I always on those ones I did Gloucestershire and non-Gloucestershire. So Gloucestershire one I did Brimscombe and Thrupp. It was Hellenic ground was the question. So Brimscombe and Thrupp just for the view is sensational, and I'll tell everybody that. But non-Gloucestershire, I put Stag Meadow. I went and watched Long Levens play at Windsor a couple of years ago. I thought it was a great little stadium, really. That massive one stand as well was it's a great vantage point, really, to go and watch a game of football in. Absolutely. So, best co-commentator was one. I had to give Kelsey his dues and say for multiple games it's him. But for one off, it was a man called James French. He used to be Long Leven's manager. If I was a footballer, which Gloucestershire club would I be playing for? So I said I'd be playing up front for Tuffley Rovers or Long Levens. Got to set myself a standard of playing at Hellenic Premier. I think I'm in a Hellenic Premier quality.
Get 5 guy.
Yeah, and you know, I think Tuffley could probably do with a man like me up front. Most talented non-league.
Bacon puts out a "Come Get Me" plea there. Tuffley Rovers.
Get that headline written. Who's the most talented non-league footballer I've seen live? So again, I did Gloucestershire based. Kieran Thomas, who's now at Weston. Luke Thomas, his brother, who's at Barnsley. And Ed Williams, who's just signed for Doncaster Rovers. And then non-Gloucestershire, I put Danny Rowe at AFC Fylde at the time. And also Dale Grubb, who was at Weston Supermare. Went on to play for Forest Green around here, in fact. So, yeah, it was a mixture. I was also asked my best and worst refereeing performance. If you listen, I think I even talked about it previously on this show. The worst refereeing performance was a referee called Spencer McNaught, who did Tuffley Rovers nil Thatcham 7 a couple of years ago, booked 13 players, including issuing a second yellow card to Harrison Bailey of Thatcham Town for asking him how long was left. So they asked the ref how long was left. The referee just ignored him, and he just went, "Oi, ref!" And the referee just turned around and gave him a second yellow card. I was sat in the stand, couldn't believe it. And I had the Thatcham committee sat in and around me, and they weren't happy either. But overall, glad to have reached 1,000. Big milestone, big monkey off the back. I can now concentrate on my football.
All those cliches. Yeah, get as many in as you can. You got a question for Ryan, Tom? Just on the hoop here.
Here we go.
Oh yes, I do. You said Tuffley were probably crying out for a player like you. Who would be your little man?
Oh well, they've already got a little man there with Warren Mann. And
okay.
Talking as well, so I could let my feet do the talking. But if I had to pick if you're asking me who my ideal striking partner would be, I would probably pick. I would probably pick Ollie Pitt from Brimscombe and Thrupp, because he's technically very, very good. You know, he'll do things like the Panenka penalty, so I didn't have to worry about that. And you know, he can also play out wide, so therefore his balls in the box will be, you know, easy for me just to attack the near post run, flick it across the keeper, and the bags of goals we'll score would be incredible. And he's also a hairdresser by trade, so the celebrations will pull out with him cutting my hair. It would be an absolute dream. So like Gaz in the dentist chair, it'd be me in the barber's chair.
I was going to do a bit perhaps this week on the grounds of the best food in the Hellenic League.
Fairford Town. That's all you need to know.
Yeah, the cafe bar there is great. Yeah. Fairford's your vote. Is that the best burger in the league?
Yeah, Fairford. Probably the best burger in football, mate.
You say this, but there were a few kids. I say kids. A few youngsters on Twitter the other day arguing about how much more they would have paid for Binfield's Mole Burger. Once someone said they'd pay a fiver for it. Yeah, that was the best burger they'd had, and how much would you have actually paid for it? I can't remember. It's only about.
How much they charge for it?
I think it's about £3, but they were saying they'd pay a fiver. So you know, I don't know.
I'm sure people won't mind if they pay a fiver.
No, football food is a bit. Football food is a bit of a muchness, but I don't mind the Binfield Mole Burger is very good.
Yeah,
me and Kelsey have discussed it. We've discussed like the food that we've had at grounds and stuff like that, and it's weird because in my opinion, if they do onions with the burger, it's automatically higher. It's automatically that level higher for me.
And I'll be honest, I don't actually want a good burger. I don't. It doesn't need to be like I'm not after just. I don't know. There's just something like, you know, you want something cheap and cheerful, because that's just what football food is. It's not supposed to be great.
You're not restaurant quality. You're not going out to like 5 minutes, are you? You're going.
True. Yeah. the £3 you pay probably reflects that as well. So
Yeah.
as long as
Yeah.
the level is no botulism, and then we're away. So
You can always judge it by the quality of cheese. The quality of the
Yeah,
cheese will
yeah.
tell you everything you need to know.
Blimey, we're on tangents this week, but just to round this off, I went to Uxbridge versus Bracknell at the weekend, mainly on the advice of another man in another one of the football in Berkshire group, who said, well, if you go to Uxbridge, they do bread pudding on the in the stand.
Bread
That's going
pudding.
to get me some. And the guy in front of me got the last two pieces of the bread
Oh,
pudding. I was
2.
absolutely devastated. I know, and I didn't get to have a bit of bread pudding at Uxbridge. So,
What are they doing? Trying to apply for Bake Off?
I know.
I'm not a fan of that at all.
No,
Honestly,
it was a big
that's
piece. It was
thumbs down.
60p. So I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt, but I'm not sure.
If
There's
it's a
no
big
other
piece,
Berkshire
then why
teams in
has he
that
had
league.
two?
So
Well, if
I'm not sure.
it's such a big piece, why has he had two there? That's
I don't know.
needlessly selfish.
Yeah, absolutely.
We did
If it looks good, kill. He'd be dead.
when I used to go up to some of the Midlands clubs following Bracknell. They were in the Southern League Central Division, and you go up to the Midlands like every other week. Bedworth and Rugby, and Bedworth's a horrible place. But they'd have faggots. They'd have
Oh yeah.
Sorry you said that.
Bedworth are
Sorry you
awful.
said that 'cause Kelsey's girlfriend's from Bedworth, so he'll be delighted that you've said that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
I mean,
incredible.
I can only speak for the ground, but I mean, we got chased out of the place, and kids throwing stones at the flipping bus. It was awful, horrible place, feral. Anyway,
it's 'cause it's near the Midlands and it's near
Yeah.
Birmingham.
nothing wrong with the Midlands itself.
Anywhere, just nothing right with the Midlands, mate. Come on, let's be honest here.
All the best people come from the Midlands, so
Yeah.
Fox, other than Lenny Henry, name someone. No chance. Whereabouts in the Midlands are you from?
Leicester.
Leicester's different.
That's East
That's
Mids.
like no, that's fine.
Leicester's
Yeah.
not great either.
Right.
There's definitely better cities in the Midlands than Leicester. Sorry, yeah. What?
worse-
name one that's won the Premier League. Thank you.
There is worse places in the Midlands than Leicester. Let's be real.
That's true as well.
Good stuff. Well, we've taken such a turn here. I kind of feel like, as chairman, I probably should get us back on track and just ask which games have we got coming up this week, and which games we've got our eye on either midweek or the following weekend. Tom, what are you looking at? Not that you're going to be able to get out of the house.
No, I don't know. I was mostly disappointed that tomorrow night there's not a game at the Rivermore, which is disappointing. So I don't know. Possibly Wokingham. Possibly if I go anywhere, it might be Wokingham. And Saturday would be Reading City if I went. But there's no guarantees of any of that at this point. So all bets are off.
Exactly. The Stag Meadow derby's on Tuesday night. If you fancy
Yeah,
it.
so that's going to be too
It's
far.
probably a
That's
little
too
for
far.
you to go, but
That's too far.
But still, yeah, that's one that sort of immediately jumps out.
Yeah.
Ryan, have you got any that you are going to / looking out for?
Yeah, so Hellenic League, we're going tough for Yardley on Tuesday night. As I said, it'll be a nice chance to see Yardley for the first time. Tuffley could do with the win. You know, they scored a goal at Blackwell Heath that didn't actually cross the line, but they'll take it. So they need to start building points. They got Bishop's Leave the following Tuesday, so that's going to be a difficult game. On Wednesday, we're doing Slimbridge versus Bristol Manor Farm in the Southern League, and then on Saturday, we're staying in the Southern League because it's Cirencester Cinderford. So, you know, the one thing we love at Severn Sport is the local derby. And Cirencester versus Cinderford is usually a good game, so I'll be expecting a good one there. The following Tuesday is the first league game for Gloucester City in their new grounds, so we'll be doing that against Kettering. So, you know, the start of October is going to be very not much Hellenic action, which is rare for me. But I can reveal, excitingly, that on the 10th of October,
It's my birthday.
second Saturday, is it actually?
It is, yeah.
Well, we've got a birthday treat for you. It'll be a West meets East action in the FA Vars. Long Levens versus Wokingham and Embrook. and I can reveal that we will be commentating the game. So any Wokingham fans who are unable to travel can listen along. One of the main reasons is A, because it's a side from Berkshire. Obviously, we've got to help promote everybody, and also because my older brother's best man from his wedding, Chris Burns, plays for Wokingham and Embrook. So yeah, I've already said to my older brother, I hope I commentate on him getting sent off or something. His reply was, guarantee he will definitely get booked. So lovely.
Brilliant. Well, yeah, the only other games I've looked forward to, we've mentioned them already, but the FA Cup games that are taking place with the three Hellenic League sides. Risborough are going to Chichester, like Burnham at home to Whiteleaf, and Royal Wootton Bassett at home to Oxford City. So big occasions for all of those three, and yeah, good luck to all the Hellenic League sides. It'd be great to see at least one of them get through. Any thoughts on how many out of the three you can see getting through? Are we going to be positive or negative on that?
All three. All three.
It's going big.
I think Bassett might struggle against Oxford, just because it's that big of a It's that big of a gap. I think Burnham, Whiteleaf, the fact it's a Burnham, you know, potential for Burnham to make it difficult there. And Risborough, I mean, I'd love to see Risborough get through. It'd be great for the league, as well as obviously them. But yeah, I think Bassett against Oxford would be the biggest shock there if Bassett were to get through.
Risborough are already on their best ever cup run. The last round was their best ever cup run, and they've done one better. So good luck to them. Hopefully, good luck to all three sides. Hopefully they can get through. Right, gents, any news that we have to break, or anything you want to bring up?
Bishop's Cleeve have signed a couple of players out here.
Ooh.
Elliot Kennedy, who scored 4 goals in his opening 2 games for Long Levens, has joined Bishop's Cleeve again. He's gone back there. They've also signed Mark Pritchett, who left Tuffley Rovers as player manager just before the season started. So 2 experienced players returning to Bishop's Cleeve. They're one of the sides who, you know, so much is expected from, and you know, they haven't really been firing on all cylinders yet, but they're 2 signings that will help them for sure.
Tom, you look like you had something you were about to chip in with there.
Yeah, I just remembered that I started a piece called FIB Knowledge last week. Went down very well, and I just asked the question. I wondered, Ryan, if you, off the top of your head, if you could beat this for Gloucestershire. So I said, who's played for the most senior Berkshire clubs? And we got to a point where we came up with 8. It was Yashua Romeo's played for 8 Berkshire clubs. Danny Horscroft, I think, had 6. Ian Davis had 5. Yeah, there was a few 6s, 5 and 6s, but Yash absolutely smashed it with 8. We haven't had anybody come back to us and say they've got anything more. So
pretty sure Henry Burkitt will be up there for Gloucestershire.
How many do you reckon?
That I know of, he's played Slimbridge, Tuffley, Cleeve, Brimscombe, Quedgley, Hardwick, I think he's played for. So I think he's on about 6 or 7. That's off the top of my head.
I think there's more clubs in Gloucestershire as well, isn't there? There's certainly more Hellenic clubs, and then there's more further up the leagues as well. So I think,
yeah, that's the one that screams out at me the most. I'll have a think. I'll have a discussion.
Yeah, come back to us next week on that
next
one.
Next week, I'll try and get someone.
Follow the Berkshire Knowledge on Twitter for Tom's question again this week. Have you got another good one lined up?
I haven't thought of a question.
You don't have to reveal it now if you don't want to, but if you've got one lined up.
Yeah, no, I'll keep it to myself for now while I desperately try and think of one. It's all very well starting these sorts of columns, but you've got to then have a bunch of questions to actually ask people. So we'll see. But yeah, currently we're on 8. But we had a sort of subsequent question, which was the Slough Town Challenge Cup is in its 100th almost at its 100th anniversary, and I wondered if there was older ones, and we've worked out that the Maidenhead Norfolkian Cup was established in 1889, and the Reading Invitation Challenge Cup was 1877. So I don't know if they'll be any older than 1877. That's pretty darn old.
That is very old.
The FA Cup is only 1872, so
Yeah.
it can't be too much older than that.
No.
Anyway, and that's the oldest football competition in the world. So
Yes.
75 years after that is probably a pretty good bet for one of the oldest competitions.
I think we're right there.
Yeah, absolutely. So are we all happy, gents? Any more? Before we start?
No, I think we're all good.
Yeah,
I think we're good.
Me done for the week there.
Good.
Yeah,
good.
go and
Right,
relax.
Well, let the people know where they can find all this great niche output that we've been talking about during the episode. Tom, where can they find all your work?
Properly, well, our niche output, Rob. Let's put that out there at FI Berkshire on Twitter and www.footballinberkshire.co.uk.
Ryan, do the same for yourselves at Severn Sports.
I was going to say, you say your output, but Abby's your main contributor now. I saw that on Twitter.
Apparently so, yeah.
So,
Just
when she takes over and can take the position of Tom, that'll be the ideal for everybody.
she may have to.
She's waiting for this baby to be born so she can seize her opportunity. Yeah.
It's like Villa fans waiting for Jack Grealish to get called up to the England squad. It was just only a matter of time.
It's more like Game of Thrones here. I'm gonna get poisoned at the Christmas do.
I mean, I'll be honest. I've never watched Game of Thrones, so I'm one of those guys. But Severn Sport, you can follow us at Twitter at Severn Sport, Facebook.com/Severn Sport, info at severnsport.co.uk. Severnsport.co.uk is the website, and also for the youngsters, Instagram of Severn_sport. That's if you just want to interact with Kelsey and not me. So, you're taking that risk and you're making your bed. You better lay in it.
Have you actually done anything on the Instagram yet yourself?
No. I wouldn't even know how to log in. Don't even know the password.
There you go. Well,
I'm being deliberately kept off it, which I think is a great move by Kelsey.
Yeah, fair enough. Build that brand. So yeah, but still. So that's about it for us this week, I guess. So you can catch up, as we mentioned before, on this podcast and all our previous ones by searching East Meets West on all good podcast apps. You can also you'll be able to find lots of interviews that Tom and I done with the great and the good Berkshire non-league football. Lots of good content for you there. But all that's left to say for us today is it's goodbye from me, Rob Davies. It's goodbye from Tom Canning.
See ya.
And it's goodbye from Ryan Butler.
Good evening.
Just I know we have technically finished, but a chap called Jimmy Munger, who Rob we met at Reading City a few weeks ago, just posted. He was he's come back at me when I said that most of that Reading City squad is the same. He's come back and said he's picked up a team sheet, and then there's I'm gonna have to wind my neck in a little bit, but just interestingly, on this team sheet you've got Adam Chasin Murray, which I thought was brilliant. This is home to Fairford, and you've also got Matt Hancock.
There you go.
So we'll leave it there. Do with that as you will.
Pleased, and more of this next week. So, hopefully next week.
Yes, we might be on a break next week.
Goodbye and good night.
See ya.